I signed up for a sommelier certification course last year because I wanted to work in fine dining. The program cost $2,000 and ran for 8 weeks. They paired us up for wine tastings and study sessions on the first night. I got matched with this guy named Connor, whose family owned 3 restaurants in the city. He showed up wearing a designer suit and introduced himself by dropping all 3 restaurant names like I was supposed to be impressed. The first tasting was French Burgundy wines. We had to identify regions, grape varieties, vintage characteristics, the whole thing. Connor showed up 15 minutes late, sat down, and immediately leaned over asking if I could take notes for both of us because he wasn't really good at that stuff. I figured, okay, whatever, we're partners. I took detailed notes on all 6 wines while he mostly checked his phone. The second week was Italian wines. Connor texted me 2 hours before class saying he couldn't make it because he had a family emergency at the restaurant. I showed up alone, tasted through 8 different wines, and took notes. He texted me at 9 p.m. asking for photos of everything. Week 3, he didn't even bother with an excuse. Just sent a message that morning. Can't make it tonight. Send me your notes? I did, because I figured maybe he was actually busy. Week 4, same thing. Week 5, he showed up, but spent the entire session on his phone texting someone about a party at one of his family's restaurants that weekend. By week 6, I'd completely given up on him contributing anything. I was essentially doing double the work, tasting wines, taking notes, studying regions and vintages for both of us. Meanwhile, he was posting Instagram stories from expensive dinners and club openings. The other students started asking me why I was even partnered with him. One woman said he'd tried to get into the program twice before but never finished. Week 7 was the California wine session. Connor actually showed up 20 minutes late. He sat down, tasted one wine, and said it was pretty good. The instructor asked him to identify the varietal. He guessed Merlot. It was Pinot Noir. The instructor just nodded and moved on. After class, Connor asked if I wanted to study together before the final. I said sure, knowing he'd never follow through. He never texted me about it. The final exam was announced for week 8. Blind tasting in front of 3 actual master sommeliers from different restaurants around the city. 6 wines. We had to identify the varietal, region, vintage range, and explain the characteristics of each. No partners, no notes, no phones, just you, the wine, and your knowledge. This exam determined if you got certified or not. The day before the exam, my phone buzzed at 11 p.m. Connor, hey, so for tomorrow, maybe we could sit near each other, like work out some kind of signal system so we can help each other? I stared at that message for a solid minute. Then I left him on red. Exam day. 12 of us, sitting at individual tables with 3 master sommeliers watching. They poured the first wine. I could tell immediately it was a French Sauvignon Blanc from the Loire Valley, probably a Sancerre. I wrote down my analysis. I glanced over at Connor's table. He was staring at his glass like it contained poison. He wrote something down, crossed it out, wrote something else. Second wine, Argentinian Malbec. Easy. Connor looked like he was having a panic attack. Third wine, fourth wine, fifth wine. I worked through each one methodically. Connor's paper was barely filled out. On the 6th wine, a German Riesling, I watched him write white wine, probably Chardonnay, California. After we finished, the headmaster sommelier started reviewing everyone's answers individually. When he got to Connor, he picked up the paper, read it, and set it back down. What exactly have you been doing for the past 8 weeks? Connor stammered something about how we'd been studying together the whole time, how he'd been at every session, how maybe he just had an off day. The instructor walked over to his folder and pulled out the attendance sheets. Let me check something. He ran his finger down the pages. Your partner's name appears on every single session. Yours shows up for 2 sessions, week 1 and week 5. The room went completely silent. Connor's face turned red. He tried to say something, but nothing came out. I passed the certification. Connor failed out of the program entirely. 3 weeks later, I got a call from the hiring manager at Osteria Marcella, one of Connor's family's restaurants. They'd heard about me from one of the master sommeliers at the exam. I got hired as their new junior sommelier. Connor's family still owns the restaurant. I see his dad there sometimes.